This is John in Dallas. Sam, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, John?
I'm doing great, thanks. I don't think I have the best connection, so I'll bear with me here. But yeah, you invited me to call in on Twitter, and so I'm doing that now.
Okay, great. Now, so what is it that you wanted to school me on?
Well, I wanted to circle back. I know it's been wrung out of the news cycle already. I wanted to circle back to the Suey Park incident. I heard you guys' take on it on your show. It was mainly about the satire part of it, but then I watched the Young Turks and their take on it, which I believe you guys are kind of politically aligned. And their whole thing was this was Michelle Malkin's doing. And then when I asked for a retraction on that, saying no, it was one of the outraged liberals that seem to pop up all the time, they never corrected that.
Well, I mean, I think to be fair to Suey Park, I don't think she would define herself as a liberal. I think she perceives herself as a more of a, I guess, a leftist of sorts. I'm not sure that's what the Young Turks said, but is that okay? And so, what? All right, but I'll stipulate that it was. So, what's your point?
My point is, I was watching one of your videos about, I guess, Riley, and I don't even remember who he had on, and was it Paul Ryan? And you guys were just saying, hey, these guys are racist because their policies are trickle down and that sort of thing. And I don't disagree that their policies are bad, but just to call them a racist without
well, no, I didn't call him a racist because his policies were trickled down. I think in the piece that you're talking about, I was saying in regards to Paul Ryan had made an argument that there's a cultural problem in our inner cities where lazy people don't want to get jobs, and that's why we have poverty. And then Bill O'Reilly called, I can't remember which congresswoman it was, a race hustler because she called Paul Ryan out for those comments. And so, yeah, I said, I think and you'll recall that Ryan prefaced his comments about those lazy people in the inner cities by citing Charles Murray, who has done a lot of so-called academic work on how black people are genetically inferior to white people in some fashion. So, and I don't think I said that Paul Ryan was necessarily trying to trigger the racists in his party. He may have been doing that, but he certainly was steeped in sort of this racist belief that poverty is created by the black people's culture, and that's where the poverty came
right.
from.
It's a dog whistle, you're saying, and I understand that part too. And there are racists out there. There definitely are. It's an older generation. I think it's passed away mostly. That's just my opinion. But what I do see is that your party, your thinkers in your movement like to shut down debate by calling anyone a racist. If you recall, despite the fact that Ron Paul
I'm not trying to shut down. Listen, I have no ability whatsoever to take a microphone away from the former vice presidential nominee or Bill O'Reilly, who speaks to a couple of million people a night. I have no ability to do that. I'm not trying to silence them. I'm trying to point out what their argument is and let other people decide as to whether or not they want to subscribe to it.
What about MSNBC? Don't they spend day after day bringing up racial outrages? Isn't that their whole
I don't watch it that often. I tend to watch one or two programs at night, and I don't find that to be the case at all.
But the point is, Suey Park is a creature of what the liberal establishment has.
Well, first of all, Suey Park would disagree with you. First of all, Suey Park would disagree with you. I suggest you go on and read some of the recent interviews with her. She has a real problem with white liberals. So
I saw her on HuffPost Live. She said, if you're a white man, you're not allowed to have an opinion about race because you haven't walked a mile in my shoes. Well, I disagree with that.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fine. Sort of that's fine. But so tell me again what your point is.
Yeah, my overall point is that to paint anyone as that's either a libertarian on the other side of your issue as a racist is as a first step, as the first step.
Well, I don't do that. So, but
I see it a lot in your videos. I wish I had a search function on your website where I could just type in the word.
Yeah, I wish you had an
and
example that was a legitimate example, and then we could have a debate about it. But if you're saying that I simply knee-jerked, I mean, you tell me. You just said yourself you thought the Paul Ryan thing may or may not have been a dog whistle.
Yeah, no, the examples are numerous. Not just on your show.
Well, you just cited one. Listen, I don't know about the other shows you're talking about, but you just cited one.
Yeah, I'm a fan of your show. I like watching it because I do think you have smart takes on things. But we got to get past calling everyone a racist.
I'm not calling everyone a racist. We just established that. The only example that you cited of me calling everyone a racist is one where you tend to maybe agree with me that was a racist formulation.
You're saying that the trickle-down economic policies...
I didn't say the trickle-down economic policies. I have a far greater critique of the trickle-down economic policies in that, A, they don't work. It would be the beginning of that. But I'm saying that Paul Ryan's a notion that somehow black culture is what creates poverty is ludicrous.
But we have all these huge government programs, and you're a big government guy, I would assume, and yet we have the most disparate income inequality we've ever had. People are in worse shape now after 5 years of Obama.
Well, wait a second. Okay, yes, and you know what? I also went to the bathroom today, and that's not that has as much causal connection from what you're talking about as anything else. I mean, to the extent that we have government programs that contribute to wealth inequality, I would agree with you, and they deal with things like treating capital gains income as at a separate tax rate than earned income from labor. That's one place I would start. Another one I would start would be the encroachment in the difficulty in which we can unionize in this country. That's another aspect. I would also say the property tax regime and what it does to education.
I just want to object to one last thing real quick. Okay, I understand, Sam. I just want to object to one other thing that you were talking about the other day, which was, and I responded to you on Twitter and you responded back to me, and that is, you wanted Democratic candidates to go around saying we're going to expand Social Security when you know that isn't going to happen. The Pete Petersons of the world, who are pretty tight with your next nominee for president, Hillary Clinton, will not allow that to happen. Obama said, there's no daylight between me and Romney on Social Security. It isn't going to happen. For you to encourage Democrats to go around promising ponies, as I said, because that's what it is disingenuous. You're just
Do you think the Paul Ryan budget is going to pass?
In the same way Obama
Let me ask you,
did
hold on for a second.
Wars.
Hold on for a second. Do you think the Paul Ryan budget is going to pass?
Say again?
Do you think the Paul Ryan budget is going to pass?
I think it has enough bipartisan support where there might be minor changes to it.
Doesn't have a single
they're all on the
supporter.
same page.
Does it have a single Democratic supporter? It
doesn't matter if it does in the House or not, and you know that.
And I'm talking in the Senate. I'm talking in the Senate.
Or Obama.
In the Senate.
Do you think Obama's going to sign? Do you think Obama's going to sign the Paul Ryan budget? Do you think we're going to get those cuts in Medicare? Do you think that we're going to? The idea.
No, that's the outer limit for what's acceptable discourse about the budget.
So, listen, if we have Democratic candidates across the board running for Social Security, for expansion of Social Security, do you think that means that it's impossible it's going to be expanded in 6 years, 8 years, 12 years?
I didn't quite catch all that.
Do you think that's a pony? I mean, you're saying that the reason why it's ridiculous to call for Democratic senators or candidates to run on expanding Social Security is because it's not going to happen when? Ever?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Do you think Dianne Feinstein wants that? Do you think Charles Schumer wants that? The guy that sits at the nexus of Wall Street and
I'll tell you something. It's very possible they don't, but I'm not convinced that if we had every candidate, Democratic candidate running on that, and it was shown to be a successful campaign strategy, I think the pressure would mount quite considerably. And in fact, do you know how many Democratic senators supported the expansion of Social Security 5 years ago?
No.
0. Now we have, I think it's about 8.
So your proposition is Elizabeth Warren, who supports being really hawkish in Iran, is going to get elected president, take on the banks. I mean, this is just a fairy tale.
You know what? It's not a fairy tale. You're just the idea that you're simply saying that because it's not possible now that you shouldn't advocate for it. That's what are you for?
No. I'm not saying you shouldn't advocate for doing something about it. You're just saying we should expand it when that's not the trend.
No, I said
all.
Specifically that if you want to win your election, calling for the expansion of Social Security is the single most effective way to do that.
Good. Talk about Pete Peterson to your listeners. Talk about the people.
I've talked about Pete Peterson so much to my listeners, sir, that you should go back through my archives. I've had kick the can on this program. I have talked about the third way in Democratic politics. I mean, look. Here's the problem. You've joined in late to this conversation. Your self-estimation is a little bit too high for yourself. The arguing to me that it's not going to happen, therefore it is a stupid thing to have people run on right now in 2014 is just, there's no even logic to that.
You know what else it is?
I want your dreams
to
succeed, Sam.
It's also
I really
racist argument.
No, that's not true.
He's just I'm
teasing.
I'm kidding.
He's teasing you. He's teasing you.
But I don't have the self-esteem or what you attribute to me on any of that. I just happen to disagree with you. But
I don't even know what you disagree with. Hold on, wait a second. I don't even know what you disagree with me about. What is it that you disagree? That it would be ineffective for candidates to run on
rhetoric. My whole point to call in was saying stop the racist rhetoric whenever you disagree with somebody. Maybe it's not your thing, that you do all the time. I just happened to watch a video from yesterday, and it's on my mind right now.
But you agree with me that Paul Ryan was probably engaging in dog whistle politics.
There's no question that he's trying to reach a certain base out there, but that's not a proposal that anyone on the Democratic side really disagrees with.
Wait a second.
Or else he wouldn't be elevated to the national conversation. I mean, he wouldn't be on the Sunday shows.
Dude, you're so all over the place. For somebody who was going to destroy me or school me or whatever, I mean, honestly, you could do better than this.
I believe I'm making my points quite salient. I mean, I don't understand where you're coming from. I'm
on track. Salient.
Fair enough.
I would say that.
All right, listen. This is what you're going to do. We'll post this on YouTube. You'll be able to watch back on this, and maybe you can call back in and amend your assessment.
And I can relive my shame in perpetuity.
Well, why should you be ashamed? You just schooled me.
I'm not. I'm playing along with you guys.
Okay.
I love your show. I actually
appreciate
do.
it.
I watch your YouTube videos for the same reason I listen to Rush Limbaugh. It's irritainment to me.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. We try and be as
that
entertaining as possible.
actually was a schooling. That was the most insulting thing I've ever heard.
Well, I appreciate it. Feel free to call back in. It was fun.
You guys are great. Thanks.
Right,
thanks for having me.
What I really think his argument was about the Social Security thing was that you're telling Democrats, whether they actually believe in it or not, that if they want to win, just say expand Social Security. And that's why he was saying they're not really for the idea. You just want them to say it so your party wins. But if enough of these people win,
of course,
people are going to say, hey, you promised to expand Social Security.
Yes, of course.
Jeez. I mean, is it that hard? And then it will happen because if they want to get reelected, they need to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I
like the. Yeah, well, that was probably racist. But look, we're just gonna need to agree, okay?